Hey guys, I'm Kevin with JcrOffroad. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the installation of our Ranger bed front MOLLE panel. So to get started, you're going to have the main center portion of your MOLLE panel, and then you're going to have two sides that look like these. Go ahead and set one to the side for just a moment. And you can, making sure that the logo is facing back where you can read it, overlap this over top of this right side. You're going to be connecting these here at the straight edge so that this little step in the panel is out toward the outside of the bed. And then you can connect these using the 4 holes here with 1/4 inch button head bolts and flange locking nuts. Then you can grab a 5/32 hex to tighten these up. After that's tight, you can grab the other outside panel and install it the same way. Next, you can install the lower mounting brackets. You'll take the shorter leg of this bracket that has the slotted hole and slide it behind the MOLLE panel, and you'll be lining this up with the 3rd hole in from the outside and installing a 5/16 button head bolt with serrated flange nut on the back side. You're going to get 2 of these, so you'll install this one on the other side in the same way. Next, you can install the top center mount. It's going to line up using these 3 holes here to those 3 just above the logo. Place this behind the MOLLE panel, and again use a 5/16 button head with flange locking nut. Then you can grab a 3/16 hex and tighten all 3 of those up. Next, you can install these outer mounting brackets on these top outside corners. You're going to use this single slot here, mount this behind the panel, and again use a 5/16 button head. You can just thread this all the way together by hand, but leave these loose for now. So that completes the assembly portion of your panel. Now we can get this installed up in the truck. So next you need to get the panel slid up here to the front of the bed. And then this is going to install using these outside mounting brackets with the metric M8 button heads in your hardware pack. These are going to go in to these factory threaded holes here in the outside front corner of the bed. Now, if your truck has a spray in bed liner like this one does, it's going to be a good idea to get an M8 by 1.25 tap to just clearance out those holes to accept these bolts and get rid of any of that bed lining material. And then if your Ranger is already equipped with our bedside MOLLE panels, these will just go over top of that and they'll share the same mounting hardware. So then you can just line that up. Go ahead and get both of these started by hand. And then go do the same thing over on the driver's side. After those are tight, you want to make sure this panel is centered left to right in the front of the bed, as well as checking the vertical adjustment. So you'll want to see these bottom brackets sitting down flat to the top of their corresponding bed ribs. And then you can come up here to the center mounting bracket and just make sure that these slots aren't too high or low here at the front of the bed. Once you've checked all that, grab your 3/16 hex once again and tighten these up. Once you're happy with the placement of the panel, you can come over here to this top center mounting bracket, and you're simply going to center punch and drill both of these holes. So you're just aiming for the center of this slot, of course, and then you're going to drill this out to accept a 5/16 bolt. So a couple different things we want to talk about with this. If you are worried about drilling and damaging the paint finish on this, or even the paint on your bed, and want to have that out of the way to touch it up, you can just use this as a guide to center punch your holes, and then of course remove these 3 bolts and pull that bracket out of the way to finish this whole process. Then also, as you're drilling through the front of this bed, you obviously do have a cab a little ways up here that you don't want to damage. So what we're going to recommend in this case is a drill stop like I have here, and that way you can set the drill depth. That way I know that I'm only going to drill about a 1/2 inch through here. I'm not even going to come out past the front of the bed and not risk damaging that at all. If you don't have something like this, you can always put another piece of metal material between the two of these as you're drilling to prevent any damage to your cab. So in my case here, I'm going to be using this narrow step bit to drill just the first 1, maybe 2 steps, so I can get a nice pilot hole here, as well as not damage the finish on my bracket. And then I'll pull this out of the way to finish my drilling. So then just switching to that 5/16 bit with the drill stop, I can finish out these holes. So then you're just going to be securing this to the front of the bed using a short 5/16 button head and a flange lock nut here on the other side. So the marking and drilling process down here is pretty much the same as what we did up top, with just a few minor differences. One thing to locate this, go ahead and grab just a square or something real quick and make sure that your panel is square, perpendicular to the bed floor. And then also, as just a reference, there's a couple spot welds you probably can't see on camera with this black bed liner in, but especially in a painted bed, you'll be able to see these. You want to make sure this hole is just back behind those so that you know you're not drilling through the factory bed cross member underneath. So we did our research, did some checking underneath, and there's definitely enough room to do this safely over on the driver's side above the gas tank, as well as over here on the passenger side. The only thing you're going to encounter on this passenger side is there's some heat shielding tape above the exhaust. You can go ahead and safely drill right through that and use our nut underneath to just suck that up tight to the bed. And then over on the driver's side especially, we're going to recommend the same use of that drill stop as we did in the top center bracket. So then once you're happy with this placement, just go ahead and center punch and drill these holes. Then, as before, go ahead and touch up any paint or anything as needed. And then you're going to need the longer 5/16 button heads from your bolt pack. You're going to go top down just like that. And then in this case, you're going to need the help of a friend to get down underneath and hold this nut while you're tightening this bolt. So once you get these tight down here on the bottom, you want to make sure to come back with your 3/16 and tighten these to the MOLLE panel. And then it's just a good idea to run back through and double check all your hardware. So that's going to be it for this install. If you guys have any questions about this installation or any other product we offer here at JCR Off-Road, go ahead and reach out to us. You can call us at 269-353-1184 or send us an email at info@jcroffroad.com.